Swadika, very good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight. I'm Nabunag.
And I'm Hataite Shikitiranan, and good evening. Kicking off the program tonight with some good news for children in Thailand. Up to 4.5 million school students will be inoculated with Pfizer vaccine for free starting next month. Education Minister Trinut Tiantong has revealed a plan to start inoculation of students in all 29 of Thailand's COVID-19 dark red provinces next month, which is October, so that the second semester of the academic year can commence without online learning. Students who are eligible for 2 shots of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine are those aged from 12 to 18 on the day of the inoculation at all schools. The goal is to give at least 1 shot of vaccine to all eligible students. The minister noted, however, that the inoculation is on a voluntary basis. Over 70% of school staff have already been vaccinated. The rest will get their shots after more vaccines are allocated starting next month as well. And over 15,000 schools are located within the 29 dark red provinces. The Ministry of Education is also considering the readiness of the schools to start the next semester.
And the progress of the Sandbox Safety Zone in School project aimed at helping boarding students to return to schools was also revealed during Monday's press conference. Boarding schools can join the project voluntarily after discussing the possibility with parents as well as the Provincial Disease Control Committee by applying to their affiliated offices. Schools under the Sandbox Safety Zone in School project will offer an in-school isolation center and a safety zone. They will also be inspected and assessed both by the Public Health and the Education Ministries. The first lot of Pfizer vaccines, 2 million doses of the 13 million ordered, will arrive in Thailand on September 29th, according to Public Health Minister Anutin Chanvirakul. And in another good piece of news, the Cabinet earlier today approved a 946 million baht budget for the Thai Red Cross to acquire 1 million Moderna vaccine doses for the people for free. This will be in addition to 5 million doses already ordered by private hospitals at a price.
Well, that seems to be very good news indeed, that we'll have more of the mRNA vaccines and also free ones too. And we've been reporting about widespread problems of online learning, Kanat, from creating a burden of the parents who have to work to widening gaps of students' understandings, especially for younger ones, and also wealth gap as well. So hopefully the campaign can start very soon as planned so they can go back to school.
Exactly, and hopefully with the inoculation of young children will help them get back to their normal lives. And we're pretty sure that many parents want their kids to go back to school because online learning has given parents a bit of a hard time as well because they have to work and they have to take care of their children during the partial lockdown. And from the vaccinations to infections, it is clear that the spread has slowed a bit more over the past week, but the numbers of new cases and deaths remain very high compared to last year and earlier this year, and the virus is certainly spreading far and wide. At Hua Hin Safari and Adventure Park, for example, there is a cluster of 35 people now, 28 of whom are staff members, and the visitors are being urged to quarantine themselves. The Health Office of Thailand's southern province of Prachop Khiri has issued an announcement advising anyone who visited Hua Hin Safari and Adventure Park between September 4th and 11th to enter 14 days of isolation immediately after 28 employees at the park were found to be infected with COVID-19. 7 others have also contracted the virus in the same cluster. The same announcement advised visitors who have developed symptoms such as a fever or breathing difficulties to get COVID-19 tests at their nearest hospital. On Saturday, the management of the park sent 5 employees who had tested positive using the rapid antigen test to Hua Hin Hospital for RT-PCR tests, which confirmed the infections. 5 other workers were also sent to Pramuri Hospital for screening, and all of them tested positive for COVID-19. A team of health officials was later sent to the park to collect samples from 42 employees for tests, which found 23 of them infected. And of the 35 infected people so far, 9 of them work in the tiger zone, 6 in the elephant zone, 2 in the crocodile zone, and 1 each in the giraffe and monkey zones. 1 is a housemaid and 1 photographer, and 14 others are considered to be at high risk. And the park right now is closed until September 27th for cleaning and disinfection. And the government house is also sealing off from outsiders for 2 weeks starting from today, as it was found that 1 member of the press got COVID-19, and the reporters must present a negative result when the house reopens.
And speaking of slightly fewer cases and deaths recently, let's take a look at the graphs we have for you. As for infections, Thailand recorded 11,786 new cases today, bringing the total of infections since April, which is the current wave, to 1.3 million. However, if we look at the past week, the number of cases are overall actually dropping, with the exception on the 9th and the 11th. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the death toll as well. Thailand recorded 136 new deaths, bringing the death toll in the latest outbreak to 14,527. Although today's number is still a high number, the number of new deaths are also decreasing as well, as you can see, except for last Saturday where 253 deaths were recorded.
Although the overall situation is improving as the number of daily new cases are decreasing, but the numbers itself are still really high compared to last year. So therefore, we still need to keep our guards up.
Definitely, it is too soon, for example, to have a physical party, unfortunately, but you can always have an online one.
Right.
And still with the pandemic and Thailand's tourism, Public Health Minister Anutin Chanvirakul said today it remains uncertain if the country can be completely reopened by mid-October, as promised by the Prime Minister. Now, even for domestic tourism, there remain some restrictions. Phi Phi, for example, will remain closed for domestic tourists until September 24th, while Krabi itself is imposing a semi-lockdown starting tomorrow. Thailand's Krabi province has imposed a lockdown effective from tomorrow or September 15 after a cluster of COVID-19 infections was discovered. 84 new infections have been reported over the past 2 days, raising the province's cumulative total to 2,503, while 845 are still receiving treatment. And according to the province announcement, the Krabi Provincial Health Office saying that those traveling into Krabi must be fully vaccinated or have been inoculated with at least 1 dose of AstraZeneca for at least 14 days and must test negative for COVID-19, of course. Dining in at restaurants in Krabi is allowed at only 1/4 or 25% of the seating capacity and with no alcohol served, no air conditioners, and they must also close at 8 p.m., while restaurants in Klong Tom and Nea Klong districts can only offer takeaway services, so no dine-in there. Shopping centers must close at 8 p.m. with no promotional activities allowed. Convenience stores can open from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m., while gaming and internet cafes, as well as massage parlors, gyms, fitness centers, and sports stadia must close. Schools will remain closed and students must attend online classes. Public transport can be offered from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. as a curfew will be in place still from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. No gatherings of more than 5 people are allowed as well.
Right, and the Provincial Health Office also agreed to extend the closure of Phi Phi Islands for domestic visitors for another 7 days until September 24th. However, tourists under the Phuket Sandbox 7+7 scheme can still enter the islands after staying in Phuket for 7 days. Tourists who wish to enter must show their certificate proving that they are fully vaccinated and have tested negative for COVID-19 using an RT-PCR test. This means domestic travelers and other groups are banned from entering the islands unless they receive approval from disease control officials. So we'll have to see whether Krabi can control the COVID-19 situation within a week. However, most of the new infections we reported just now are mostly locals, not foreigners.
Yes, right. As we're talking about reopening the country, this is actually not so good news. But hopefully this will be actually the opportunity to maybe rip off the bandage and allow this beach town and everywhere else to become ready for the complete reopening.
Right. And if you're thinking of long stay in Thailand, this might be good news for you because today the cabinet has approved incentives to foreign investors and wealthy foreigners to stay in Thailand in a bid to promote foreign investment and to improve the struggling economy. The government spokesman Thanakon Wangbunkongchana said that Thailand has set a target to attract as many as 1 million of these groups of foreigners in the next 5 years, with an expectation that their spending and investments during a 5-year period will inject 1 trillion baht into the Thai economy, including about 800 billion baht in foreign investments and 270 billion baht in taxes. He also said that the arrival of foreign experts who are attracted by this measure will help strengthen the private business sector, which the government aims to promote, including industry, services, infrastructure, and logistics, in line with the 20-year National Strategic Plan. The 4 groups the government would like to target include high-income earners, foreign retirees, experts in various fields, and those who want to use Thailand as their base for work. To attract these high potential individuals, a new long-term resident visa or smart visa will be issued, under which they will be granted some privileges, such as not being required to notify Thai authorities every 90 days.
Thanakon also said that laws and regulations regarding land ownership will also be amended to attract foreign investors, adding that other incentives include tax exemptions and allowing foreigners who want to use Thailand as a workplace to work for their employers abroad or here in Thailand. He also said that the requirement that 4 Thai nationals will have to be employed for every foreigner hired will also be lifted.
We have to say that this is another ambitious plan set by the government in order to revive the Thai economy. And of course, Thailand has been one of the top choices for foreigners to do the long stay as well.
Yeah, definitely. We just have to wait and see, and also how the pandemic may have possibly impacted some people's wealth also. But one thing is for sure, we all want to see a revived, vibrant economy all around again.
Exactly.
And we ending the program tonight with a positive development for a corruption scandal dating back almost a decade, as the prosecutors have decided to indict the Thai government's chief whip and Palang Pracharat MP Virat Ratanasit and 86 other people, including school directors, local politicians, and teachers, involving in the alleged corruption in the construction of a futsal courts at hundreds of schools in 17 northern and northeastern provinces. The scandal dates back to the government of Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra, when several MPs during budget scrutiny in Parliament diverted an estimated 4.4 billion baht, originally earmarked for construction and maintenance of school buildings damaged by natural disasters, to the building of futsal courts, supposedly to promote the sport among local students. In Nakhon Ratchasima province alone, futsal courts were built at 56 schools instead of the original plan for only a handful, which means that the budget for each court is being reduced substantially, resulting in the substandard quality of almost all the courts. And most of the courts were built outdoors on basketball courts instead of indoors. In many cases, the floor mats peeled up even before the courts opened for use, and they are now even abandoned altogether.
Exactly, and many futsal courts in other provinces also suffered the same fate. The massive corruption has been investigated by both the National Anti-Corruption Commission and the Public Sector Anti-Corruption Commission, with most of the cases still pending. In March this year, several teachers implicated in the scandal lodged a petition with the NACC seeking justice, claiming that they had nothing to do with the graft, but they were duped by local politicians to accept the projects with the honest intention of promoting the sport among their students.
Well, it is good to see actions being taken on such serious corruption, and this will hopefully teach others a lesson. And it's sad still that the students and their paying parents are just plain victims here, and they can't really do anything about it, except perhaps for those who can afford it, maybe take them to real sport courts and fields, etc. But education in general should have been equal for all, nevertheless.
And the education system in Thailand has always been a problem for so many years. Well, apart from the fact that not everyone could have access to quality education, many people cannot deny that corruption and bribery still exist in many schools.
Well, that's the sad truth, but we're getting there with at least this case. Hopefully it goes somewhere and justice is served.
Right.
And with that, we wrap up this edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. Do catch us like this, though, every weekday at 7 p.m. for all the top stories and explainers.
And don't forget to follow us on social media as well as our website, thaipbsworld.com, for the latest updates and analyses. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ